I don't even know how long it was. Maybe it was like a decade ago when you guys did the renovation. Maybe
it was before I got. It might have been. I'll probably get ripped for not giving the right date, but
we'll just say about a decade ago.
About a decade, yeah.
Because I remember that it was around the time I was probably in the master's program. That either it was just getting completed or I don't know, somewhere around that time frame. And then I haven't been to many high school athletic training rooms. Mm-hmm. I've been to DOE athletic training rooms, so nothing with that too, because you don't need like a lot of the bells and whistles. Mm-hmm. But I will say that Kamehameha, they're so supportive. They did such a great job with the renovation, not only with just like the physical equipment and resources, but how you guys have collaborated, what would probably rival a lot of like college setups, because you have the strength room, the main strength and conditioning room, and the athletic training room adjacent to each other. The communication and everything. Mm-hmm. That's what most colleges and pro teams have. So it's a really great setup, and I think with everything you got going on, not only the facilities but beyond that, mm-hmm. you guys can really offer a lot of services to the athletes, right? And make that difference again. Mm-hmm. So talk a little bit about as you went through this transition. I just remember this is when I didn't know you too well, but I was thinking, man, you're leaving Moana to go to Kamehameha. I was like, oh man, we need a good athletic trainer, But anyway, I was happy for you because you're going back to your alma mater and all of that. But think about some of the differences between. This goes for any athletic trainer, I think, and nothing against the school or whatever, but there is a big difference with like. I just want to say, like the haves and the have-nots, right? Mm-hmm. And it's not saying that obviously public school, they're going to have less resources allocated to athletics or whatever it is. But at that same time, that really brings out your skills to make sure that you can offer all of the services that you need to offer that Kamehameha can offer, right? So talk about that maybe a little bit, like in the high school setting, especially. I know a lot of athletic trainers out there, they don't have as many resources. Mm-hmm. The budget is smaller, right? But how did you manage that? Or what were some of the things that you've learned from those early experiences in these DOE schools? Yeah,
so in Wailua, the seasons didn't extend very long. When I was there, this was before the D1, D2. So we would play, I think football was the only thing that was in the red, white, and blue. Okay. So there are different levels of football. But other sports, like our soccer's, we played against Mililani. Baseball played against Mililani. We played against the big dogs in the OIA. Mm-hmm. So the seasons weren't as long. At that time, everybody had the same budget. So whether you were at Lanai High School or if you were at Mililani, you kind of had the same budget to work with. So a lot of us had to supplement. When I moved to Moanalua, Kevin was selling like Gatorade. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you've seen, and I think that same refrigerator is still in there. Mm-hmm. So we're selling Gatorade. And when he left, I took over. Mm-hmm. I continued the same thing. And then there was a wellness policy that came in. Yeah. So we were selling candy, like fruit punch, and then the wellness policy kicked in the DOE. So I started selling water, Gatorade, granola bars. If sugar was the first ingredient listed, you couldn't sell it, basically. Yeah. But that's how we supplemented our budget, as far as the haves and the have-nots. Mm-hmm. A lot of crutches, even... at Moanalua, I would go to like Savers and I'd buy crutches, because we hosted a lot of tournaments. I didn't want to give away brand new crutches if someone was a neighbor in the school. We'd have a good amount of crutches, but we'd buy them like $1.50 each. We were pretty resourceful, and even like as far as the rehab equipment we took donations. I had a PE instructor who would let me know when. The 24-hour fitness, when they're kind of turning over their equipment, and let's jump on that, So, it was kind of getting to know who you worked with and who they knew. It's like Hawaii. It's a network thing. It's who you know. Yeah. And so that's how. So moving over and then moving over to Kamehameha, it was funny. The last time I was in that facility, or a part of that program, like I said, we had a much smaller facility. My first week there, Cindy Clivio tells me, here's your key. Look in the storage room, look in the cabin, kind of, get familiarize yourself with what we have. And I'm like, if you think we need anything, let me know. I'm like, we have everything. It was just, it's the resources were unbelievable to the point where now I'm in my 6th year at Kamehameha. So we have kids that have, left to go to college, played sports in college. They came back to visit. And so it's more, if we have kids that go to the big name colleges, we can't, we have a great facility for a secondary school, but, somebody goes to Oregon, But we have kids that, they've gone to some of the smaller schools. They come back and they say, I didn't realize how good we had it. I'm like, I'm trying to tell you guys,
Yes.
take advantage of the resources you have. I mean, it was, even for myself, I mean, knowing what, or having a slight idea what kind of resources Kamehameha had, it was still very much eye-opening. My coworker, Ben, he came from Waianae. We have the same experience. I mean, when we came through, Cindy had mentioned early on when she had started that their budget was not that big, so it has since grown, and she's been pivotal in making sure that our program is second to none, and it's been a great working experience.
Yes. I mean, and touching on that too, because you mentioned this a little earlier that it's fun working high school sports, right? Because games get competitive, and in the big scheme of things, I would say like the OIA, ILH, there's not too many teams, right? Which is kind of a drawback in itself. But because there's not too many teams, I think that evens the playing field at the top level, open level, or Division I level and whatnot. And what I will say, everyone kind of knows this, is that Hawaii has some good athletes.
Oh, yeah.
Like, for sure. When we match training and, the right resources and getting these guys prepared, I mean, for our population, right? How many people are playing not only college level, but even pro level, and making, that 1% elite level too? It's amazing that they're all coming out from this small island in the Pacific Ocean, right? So it's very exciting, I think. And then all of these supporting things, whether it's resources for athletic training or other things, facilities, those I think need to continue to progress and keep up with the time so that we can level the playing field when it comes to these resources, and not just rely purely on natural athleticism, right? We have to provide these resources so that these young athletes can be competitive. So I think that's something to think about, even if you're at a DOE school or a high school that doesn't have as many resources, still utilize some of the resources of people, time, and all of that. And there's a lot of things that you can do that will, in the long term, make a difference, elevate how you're performing on and off the field and all of that. So it's very interesting to, hear that perspective too.